Students, today we are looking at modular arithmetic. Modular arithmetic. Modular arithmetic deals with remainder. Now let's look at this first example. Reduce 55 to its simplest form in modulo 3, B modulo 4, C modulo 5, D modulo 6. Now, you realize that we want to reduce it in modulo 3. Now, we're having 55. We want to write it in modulo 3. So you say 55 divided by 3. So how many 3 can you see in 55? We can see 18. Then you realize it will remain 1. So we're having 18 remainder 1. So now this remainder will now be the solution. So 55 written in modulo 3 will be what? 1 modulo 3. We want to write it also in modulo 4. So 55 in modulo 4, you say 55 divided by 4. How many 4 can you see in 55? We have 13. You realize it will now remain 3. You will see 13, 4 in 55, then it will remain 3. So this 3, which is the remainder, will now be the solution. So then the answer is now 3 in modulo 4. Another example, we are having 55. You want to write it in modulo 5. How many 55 can you see in 5? How many 5 can you see in 55? We have 11. It will remain what? 0. So 55 can perfectly be divided by 5. It remains 0. So that means this 0 will be the answer. So that means 55 written in modulo 5 is 0 modulo 5. Now let's write it again in modulo 6. Now you are having 55. You want to write it in modulo 6. So again you say 55 divided by 6. 55 divided by 6. How many 6 can you see in 55? We have 9. So it will now remain 1. So this one will not be the answer. 1 in modulo 6. You will notice that modular arithmetic deals with remainder. And we realize in all the numbers we divided here, we are not interested in the decimal. That is the reason why we are talking about the remainder. Here, 55 divided by 3, you know, if it should give us a decimal, but we are not interested in this decimal. So the remaining one is now given to be the right answer. 55 divided by 3 is 18. It will remain 1. So 1 now happens to be the answer. 55 divided by 4, it will remain is 13, remainder 3. 3 is now be the answer. That means 3 in mode 4. 55 divided by 5 is 11, remainder 0. So 0 will now be the answer. That's 0 in mode 5. 55 divided by 6 is 9. The remainder will be what? 1. So that means 1 will now be the answer. 1 modulo 6. Now, let's look at another one. Find the simplest positive form of the following, of each of the following. You are having minus 28. You expected to write it in mode 3. You are having minus 28. You expected to write it in mode 3. Now, look at this. You know, we said we are not interested in decimals or fractions in modular arithmetic. What we are interested in is the whole number. So instead of us having fraction or decimal, we are going to write out the remainder. Look at this. We have a minus 28. We want to write it in mode 3. If you divide minus 28 by 3, it will give us 9 point something. Since we are not interested in a decimal, you look for the closest negative value to minus 28, that whenever you divide it by 3, it will give you what? A whole number. Now, if you look at it, the next closest number to minus 28 that will give you a whole number, you can say minus 30. You know, if you say minus 29, minus 29 will still give you a decimal. You cannot be perfectly divided by 9 by 3. So, but if you say minus 30, if you divide minus 30 by 3, that will give us an whole number. So because of that, you pick minus, but what we needed is to a minus 28. So you try to write this minus 30 in such a way that you are going to have minus 28. So that means minus 30 plus 2. You can say minus 28 is what? Minus 30 plus 2 will still give us minus 28. So by the time you divide this minus 30 by 3, it will give you minus 10. So you realize this minus 30 will leave the same. We are not left with these 2. So 2 will now be the answer. So the answer is now 2 in mode 3. Now let's look at another example. We are having minus 2. We want to write it in mode 9. To write this in mode 9, you look at, if you divide minus 2 by 9, it's going to give you 0 point something. So you realize that that is not whole number. In modular arithmetic, we are not interested in decimal or fraction. So that means you look for the closest negative value to minus 2, that if you divide by 9, it will give us it will give us whole number. So if the closest number here should be minus 9. You realize if you divide 9 minus 9 by 9, it will give you minus 1. That is perfect whole number. So, but what we needed here is what? Minus 2. So you can now say minus 9 plus 7. Minus 9 plus 7 is still the same thing as minus 2. So because of that, you break it down to minus 9 plus 7. By the time you divide this minus 9 by 9, it will give you minus 1. So that's an whole number. It will leave the same. You are now left with this 7. So that means 7 is now the answer. So the answer is now 7 in mode 9. So another example. If you have minus 5, you want to write minus 5 in mode 6. Minus 5, you want to write it in mode 6. So minus 5 can be broken down. You realize the closest negative number to minus 5 is what? Minus 6. You realize you can easily divide minus 6 by 6 to give you minus 1. But what we needed is minus 5. We will now bring this combination of number, which is minus 6 plus 1. Is same thing as minus 5. So that means if you divide this minus 6 by 6, it will give us minus 1. So this negative value will leave the same. We now have 1 left. So 1 will now be the answer, 1 in mode 6. Now if we want to write minus 17 in mode 10. Now what number, the negative number that is closest to minus 17, that if we divide it by 10, that will give us whole number. The number is what? Minus 20. Minus 20. But what we needed is this minus 17. So that means if you say minus 20 plus 3 is same thing as minus 17. So now, if we now divide minus 20 by 10, we realize that will give us minus 2. That is whole number. So it means that 20 minus 20 can leave the same. You are not left with what? This 3. The answer will now be what? 3 in mode 10. Now, let's look at the work practice. For the work practice, number 1, reduce 35 to its simplest form in modulo 3, B modulo 4, C modulo 5, D modulo 6. Number 2, find the following numbers in their simplest form in modulo 4, 15, 32, 62, 47, 82, 17, 78, 38, 56, now 102. Number 3. Find the simplest form of the following in the given modulo. A minus 23 to be written in module 5. B minus 52 to be written in module 11. C minus 9 written in module 7. D minus 11 written in module 3. E minus 17 written in module 2. F minus 50 written in module 4. G minus 56 written in module 13. H minus 75 written in module 7. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.